What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we discuss the arts, science, and business of comedy with comedians and comedian adjacent. With this episode's guest, Big Rich Brock. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, I'm G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Done Way Past Funny. This is the conclusion of our interview with Big Rich Brock. Enjoy. Now, I'm going to play the second half of what we started with the Huffies.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Hey, y'all, some of y'all, I can tell we're Huffy people. It's okay. Huffy bikes are good. They were dependable. They had one speed. They were rugged. They were great for playing Evel Knievel in the neighborhood and jumping the smaller siblings when you built a ramp. That's what you do in Chickamauga. So that's what we did. We built the ramp. I asked my buddy, I said, hey, can I borrow your Huffy? I'm going to go for a new Mill Village record right here. I laid out 5 children. All younger siblings of other parents, because I was an only. I backed up, I got that Huffy going. I did pretty well till I hit the 4th one. Get it off him, popped the 5th one. They started screaming and crying. Mothers started coming off the front porches, looking around. Richie, what did you do? I jumped on my 10-speed bicycle and I got out of there. You're glad to have a swing every once in a while. And I did set a new record there. I got that 10-speed in 2.8 seconds. Because when you see somebody's mama coming after you for pulling an Evel Knievel, that's not a good day. That's not a good day. But being an only child at Christmas is like winning the Price is Right sweepstakes. Man, it was good living. Remember, 1900s, no Walmart, no Amazon. Here's what I had. I had the JCPenney catalog. Come on, somebody. And I had the Sears catalog. My father hated those catalogs. Why? 12.3 miles. You haul those things all over Chickamauga, you wouldn't like them either.
Now, I realized I didn't, because you have the callback 12.3 miles, but I never did the original thing. But I wanted to end on that because it has an audience reaction shot, and they don't have a lot of those in their dry-bar specials.
No, that 12.3 miles. My father, like I said, was a postman. He preferred the word postman over mailman for some reason in his hometown. So Chickamauga had 2 mail routes. He worked one for 15 years, the other for 18. So GD, for 15 years of his life, he walked 12.3 miles a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. And that's hard work. We know that. And people ask me, Big Rich, how do you remember that? I heard it every day of my childhood. Every day I was told, hey, go help your mama. Well, why do I have to do it? Boy, I walk 12.3 miles a day. So every answer he had of something that needed to be done was he walked 12.3 miles. So, yeah, that's a fun. You asked me earlier about writing comedy. When I studied it and I started understanding the callbacks and this and that, I'd been doing that in sermons for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize that's what you called it. So,
yes.
And those things, that's why I like doing an hour, because my last joke of the night is a callback that I've done 3 different times.
Yeah.
Throughout, maybe 4, about the JCPenney catalog, and it all ties together. Or other endings I'll do, I can tie them together. So, yeah.
Now, my wife kind of got on me about this because I have 3 90-minute things and a 1 hour. I have 4 90-minute things on YouTube, and I will have a callback in another different set to an earlier show. And my wife says, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Because," I said, "I don't know who watches this, and if I actually could have a fan who watches all 4, and then they watch all 4, they get the set." And it's like the Easter eggs. And my wife, I told my wife, I said, I don't have a problem with telling a joke that only one person gets.
Yeah.
If it's a good joke and I know it's well crafted, they'll just have to catch up. I'm so
Yeah.
that's a good joke. You just have to catch up.
My my line that when I do shows and there's younger folks there, that aren't 1900s people, and I have stuff for them, and I tell them, you'll understand your father better after coming to my show. You'll
Yeah.
understand, or I'll tell them if I'm looking at them and they're looking at me like, I'll say, just Google it. Man, take a minute, Google it. I'll wait on you. Look it up, and oh, okay, I know who the Three Stooges are now,
Yeah.
or I know who the Little Rascals are. That was Ren and Stimpy for me, or that, for me, Three Stooges was something that annoyed my father.
Yeah.
Everybody had something that annoyed their father that they liked, and for
Mine
me,
was
it was
breathing.
that. It was what?
Breathing.
Breathing.
I was not planned. I was not planned. I was not planned at all.
My dad's the youngest of three boys, or was, and he was 12 years younger.
Hmm.
So he said it was like growing up with three fathers, and none of them were great. He's like, so there's his comedy again. So yeah,
Now you talked about, let's see, I was the youngest, and so while you got beatings for things that your father did, I got beatings for things my siblings did, and
yes, I
and they
bet
were
those
just,
sisters. Yeah,
yes, and they were just, I had a sister and two brothers, and they were just better liars than me.
yeah.
You know,
Well, they had more experience.
yeah. And I mean, there was one time my mother was so mad at me. She says, I'm too angry. I can't beat you. If I beat you, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
You have to wait for your father to get home.
Oh Lord.
And my father came home, and I could hear my mother downstairs because I was upstairs in my room. I was punished until he got home, and when he came in, I could hear my mother regaling the tale of what happened, her horrible, horrible son, the horrible things I'd done. And the thing is, I was already repentant.
Yeah.
I knew what I was done wrong. And
Yeah.
so my father comes upstairs, and I guess he was just tired. I don't know, but he sat down on the bed and he sat me next to him and he goes, your mother told me what happened. And I said, yes, sir. He goes, something asked me, he's like, did you learn your lesson? And I told him I said, look, I'm really sorry. And I just went on about that
Yeah.
I was really sorry. I said, it won't happen again. I said, I was letting my friends talk me into something, and I
Yeah.
shouldn't let them do it. I knew what was right,
Yeah.
and I did what was wrong because my friends pressured me. And my father was like so moved by that. He was like, I don't want to beat you. He says, but your mother is expecting it. And if I'm
I, that line
yes,
that your mother used, I talk about. My mother would say, and all mothers, wait till your father gets home. And my joke is, my dad walked 12.3 miles. He was pissed off already. So, he's like, God, I'm exhausted. Let's get this over with.
Well, my dad, he says, your mother's expecting me to beat you. He goes, but I don't. He says, I think you learned your lesson. And I don't think you deserve a beating. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take off my belt and I'm going to smack the furniture and I'm going to hit the bed and you're going to jump and scream and hoot and holler like I was beating the living daylights out of you. He says, "Can you do that for me?" I said,
Yes,
"Yes,
sir.
sir." Yes, sir. And
Can I do it?
yes, and we're running around jumping and he's hitting the furniture and he's calling me all kinds of names and don't you? And I'm like, "You're not Daddy, I swear, Daddy, I swear." And then I left the room and my mother looks at me and goes, "I hope you learned your lesson." And
That's
I was like,
awesome.
yeah. And that was like the one time that was the only time I ever. And the thing is, I didn't talk my father out of the beating. I just told him the truth.
Yeah. He just
Any other,
saw that repentance. Yeah.
yeah. But any other time, it didn't matter if I was repentant or not. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, no,
Well,
no,
you talk about repentance and it's changed behavior.
yeah,
He knew you'd figured it out in between. You were in that place where you figured it out between your mama saying, wait till your daddy gets home, and then him getting home. So, yeah, that's commendable. That's good for him and you. Good for your backside, and says a lot
Well,
about him, too.
now that moment actually that gave me when I don't have any children of my own. I'm sorry. This is one thing that this is one of the things that upsets me about dry bar though. Okay, you can talk about having kids, but you can't talk about where they came from. And you get kids different ways. Okay, I have
Yeah,
4 stepchildren. Okay, but you can't talk about procreating.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, but where did the kids come from? You have to explain. And if you say I have 4 kids, and you say they're not adopted, they're not stepchildren, that only leaves
Hey,
one way to get them, and you
I
can't
will
do
tell.
that.
Yes, and I will tell you when you sign the contract, they give you this big list, and I was petrified. And I'm a former pastor, and doing clean comedy, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to make sure I don't say, oh my God, I got to make sure. Then I watch people, and I've watched some of them, and some of the stuff I got in. I was surprised. Like I did one joke that I do, and maybe next we can do this again and we can talk about it. But it's got the word horny in it.
Yeah, yeah,
And I asked if I could do that, and they said, "Man, I don't know. I don't know. Do it." And I couldn't get anybody to give me the green light. And they said, "Do it your second taping, and we'll take it out if we need to." And when
that's a
they
good
heard it,
compromise. That's a
yeah,
good
and they
compromise.
heard it, and they realized it was me as a 5-year-old kid reading something on a bumper sticker, and I read it
Like
out
honk if you're
loud.
horny or something like
Yes,
that. Yeah.
honk if you're horny. And my mother just she just bowed her head, started, praying. My dad, his mustache was shaking, man, trying not to laugh. I saw it through the mirror. So I said it again. And I said, but I personalized it. I said, honk if you're horny, daddy. And my mother looked at him and said, for the love of God, do something. So
And he
he blew
honked.
the horn twice right there in the middle of town. And Dry Bar went nuts. That was the best joke I had all night. They loved it, and they kept it in. But I was scared to do it. I spent a month because I didn't know anybody up there then to ask. I was green, I was new, anything in life, building relationships, like you and I getting to know each other and the way we
Right.
met through another podcast, building connections, relationships, acquaintances, that's just so valuable in life for our
Yes.
own sanity. But then that's the way opportunity can come. And now I know people up there where I could call and say, hey, I got this bit. And I do believe I'll get to do another one. When I finished, they said the producer was like, you'll be back. We'll have you again. Now, it hadn't happened yet. They
Yeah.
said they normally wait 3 years, for somebody that's not a big name to come back. But I
They
know
probably
out
have
of
a
the,
huge waiting list too, because
oh, I'm going
I
to
know
tell
a
you
lot of
that
comedians are trying to get in.
that thing, yes, that thing is a beast to try to get on. If I'd have known how to do it, I'd screwed it up. It was just sending a tape and my story, and having that Southern thing going and being a former preacher, pastor, middle aged. I just checked some boxes that I don't know. I feel like I'm learning more. You said something earlier, and I know we got to wrap up because the joys of my next visit I got to do. But you talked about finding your voice. When I
Yeah.
started, it took me about 7, 8 months to decide this is who I am.
Right.
I knew who I was, but I found my voice and I found my stride. And I explain to people, hey, I love comedy. Comedy's an art. It's like music. Some you like, some it's not your thing. I respect anybody that does it and has some success. And when I mean success, they get a laugh from somebody. They might get a laugh from a crowd that wouldn't look at me for I'll do shows where I am the oldest. I'm the only one without a tattoo. I'm the only one without something pierced on my face because I want to try to make people laugh that aren't like me. You know, I did a show, and the churches I pastored were primarily half black, half white.
Right.
But I got hired to do a church gig about 3 months ago, and I was the only white guy there, 200 something people. And the people that hired me knew me, but
Oh,
the
okay.
people that were attending this banquet and I was the comedian, they're like, I walk up right out of the gates. I'm like, well, and I started doing what, I know the black church does because I said, I'm one of you, in that sense. And I had them with it. I started talking. I did the hell no to the no, no. And it was done. They're like, you, in 30 seconds, you put us at ease. And we knew, okay, we're going to have a good time. And it wasn't anything about race. It was about, is this going
Just
to be
find a
funny?
connection. Yeah.
Yeah. And are
Just
we
find a
going to
connection.
connect? And that one church has referred me 3 other jobs because that went so well. And that's another thing in the business of this is you do a good job for people, you show up on time, you commit to do what you say you're going to do, you sell some drinks or food while you're at it, word gets out. And the jobs that I get, 95% of them have been referrals from jobs that I've already done,
Mm,
shows I've done. I've got a corporate gig for a Georgia Automotive Dealers Association. I go down there for a breakfast and do 20 minutes. But that 20 minutes got me 3 car dealership jobs last year where I
wow.
did their Christmas parties or I did their customer appreciation, so treating people like we want to be treated can go a long way, I think, in business. So,
Yeah.
or it's worked on my end anyway, man.
Now there's a couple of things here I want to ask you about. Because well, I went to your website and I clicked on the About button and I got this. Okay. But
Yes.
there's 2 About buttons and I didn't click that one first. I clicked that one second. I
I'm a.
clicked I clicked this About button first.
Oh no, wonder what it is. Oh gosh, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, that, and you see now if you look, this is a screen capture, and you see right above there's your face, and it says comedy, and you recognize that as your website, right?
Let me see. I can't. I got something in front of my. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somebody's hacked in or something.
See, you got 2 Abouts. If you look across the top, it says home, about,
Yeah.
shows, EPK.
When. Hey, we're discovering something right here at the. It's your podcast. Did you
It's
do
done
this
way
like
past funny.
today?
Um, this was yesterday or day before yesterday,
Oh, I've got a guy working on it. Like
and
he's
that's who I
putting it.
thought it was. I thought that was the
He's
guy who
yeah.
designed it.
He's revamping it, and he ain't finished obviously. And I got to get that fixed. Well, I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah,
Heads are
cause
gonna roll. Heads are
cause I
gonna roll. No,
cause I saw that
since
About. I
I
was
pay him nothing. So
Oh, well, you're getting your money's worth. Actually, you get your more
exactly,
than.
you get what you paid for.
But I was researching you. I wanted to be able to ask intelligent and relevant
Yeah,
questions. So go to About, and I'm seeing this picture. That's not Big Rich. And then
no,
I thought to myself,
that's little Asian.
and I thought, I thought to myself, well, maybe he designed the website, and then I found the other About.
Well, after this meeting I have coming up, that'll be my next meeting. That'll be my next meeting, and the one that says about.
Yeah,
That's old because I just sent them things to redo because that's the old one that I did. And I've got a new about, and so, I'm thankful. And the guy that's helping me, he's doing a great job, honestly.
yeah,
But I'm at the place, those kind of things, somebody's been doing this a long time, 40 years, and they are a regional comic. They
right,
said to me, you're going to have to do 100% of the work right now. There'll come a
yeah,
day if you've hit, like I believe you can, you'll be able to hire people to book you, to do your website, to do your social media. I know very little about that stuff, as you can tell, but I have to do it, or I find people and they say, hey, man, I love to help you. Or, hey, I'll take your pictures or I'll do your headshots. Some of it, I'll do your flyers. And it's people that believe in what I'm doing. But that's a hoot because I don't look at my website unless I get a ding about a message very often.
Uh
So
huh.
that just gave me incentive that I need to check that out because somebody's getting some good credit. There's probably now that you've seen it, there's probably at least two other people that have seen it.
Now, see, now I'm doing everything myself, like you said, like just like you said. I did my own website. Now,
Yeah.
I designed my website 10 years ago when I
Oh
first
wow.
started. I mean, because I've been doing comedy for like 10 years and a few months,
Yeah.
and so I started doing my website because I didn't think I was ever going to be famous, but I thought if it happens, I want to be ready.
Yeah.
That's why out the gate, the first I did my first open mic, and then I started writing my first 90-minute set
Yeah.
because I thought I doubt that it happens, but if it does happen, I want to be ready. So I started
Yes.
doing my website. I designed it myself, and people have said to me, "Your website looks like it was designed for fans, not bookers." And I said, "It was designed for fans because my
Yeah.
theory was I'm not performing all the time, but you need to keep people engaged all the time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so my website is designed to keep people engaged." You know,
That's great. I
but
will, and I will definitely check it out because I, I'm
But it's not a good
faith.
example. It's
Yeah.
I'm
Faith
everybody
world.
tells me everybody tells me
Yeah.
my website is a terrible example of what a comedian's website should be like because it's not. They said, I mean, if you want to book me, you can. I mean, it's not. It's just push a button. That's
Yeah.
it. But it doesn't look like a comedian's page. It.
Well,
I just
you know, and I'd love to have, if I had, and I'm looking, and I've got a minute because we're not here yet. But I think a great subject for somebody maybe further along in it than me is distinguishing between the perception of doing comedy
Oh
and
yeah,
being a working comedian. Because being a former pastor, the thing that used to drive me nuts is a preacher saying, "Hey, we had 200 people here today, and God well they had 50,
right.
but they make it out like, oh, we had a sold out, I feel bad saying a show sold out if it's only 40 people.
I feel bad
You,
saying it's sold out if there's 3 seats left because it's not sold out.
yeah, exactly.
I,
So
I'm like you.
yeah,
You probably don't know this. I don't know, Meg. I don't, are you aware that I used to be a minister?
yes, yes, we
Okay,
touched on that in the other podcast.
okay. I'm only saying it because once you realize, because I don't tell that as part of my story,
Sure.
and I thought to myself, because I sent the thing to Dry Bar, and you said you told and I thought to
Yeah,
myself, I should. The thing is, I don't like this. I don't like discussing my past. Not that I'm not ashamed of anything in my
I
past.
understand.
It's just that it's the past. And I
Yeah.
want to talk about what I can do in the future. But now I'm going to send Drybar another thing and let them know, yeah, I used to be a stripper and I used to be a minister. And see if that gets me in the door.
Let me
If
see you
that,
at the poll. Yeah.
yeah, see if that doesn't do it. Wait a minute, he was a stripper and a
Yeah.
minister at the same time? No, no. Actually, I was a stripper while I was in school to be a minister. You got to pay for it somehow. You
Hey,
got you
got to
got to
pay the
pay for
bills.
You have to pay for school somehow.
Yeah.
So
Cause the
yeah,
thrills and pay the bills.
that's it. No, no. Now, uh, I know you're short on time, but your appointment people aren't there yet.
No, I'm good.
Did you have a ritual when you started, in either in the comedy or in your and how has it evolved?
Yes. And it's so funny when you talk to people that are ministry, speakers, they, and of course, I'm big rich. I love food, but I don't eat before a show.
Right.
I drink. Um, During the show, if it's a bar show or a winery or a brewery, I always have a drink because one, I like them, but two, I'm selling product
Yeah.
while I'm doing my set. I did a show in my hometown right out of the gates in a local bar that town only has two bars, and I performed at both of them on the same weekend, to set a precedent. And there were people that came out to that first show that I was their preacher, I was their old friend, and I picked a Pabst Blue Ribbon tall boy, red, white, and blue, and I held it and drank it the
Oh,
whole show.
now okay. For people out there who don't know red, white, and blue, that was the cheapest beer you could get. I mean, when you were scrounging,
PBR, two
yes,
dollars, two
yes.
dollars. But it made a statement, you know, because afterwards this guy came up to me and says, "Well, you're obviously not a Baptist anymore because you're drinking in public. I drink my PBR at the house in private, you know." But I wanted to make a statement, and me holding that big old PBR for an hour and 10 minutes made a statement. Not the whole time, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
My rituals, and being a little bit older, as I am and you're close to, I have learned to have electrolyte water, get hydrated pre and post. I go through I like to know what I'm doing in a show the day before. I don't
right,
ever wait to the day of to decide this is my set because I don't want that pressure.
right.
And I want to be able just to run through it a couple of times. And then I record the show on my phone, even if I don't do taped, so that I can listen to it
Yes,
and find nuggets, find duds, find things that need improved. Um, I struggle, and I've got to work on this. I know that making reels are important for me to get where I want to go. And I've got the camera, I've got the tripod. It's like every devil in hell's come against Big Rich making a reel because the battery will run out, somebody will bump the camera, some big headed dude will sit in front of it, there'll be some terrible laugh in it. There's something, and I was like, okay, we got all that behind us, we're able to do one. So, about the
I think we got the same demon.
yeah, same. We got that same thing going on. So
I,
yeah,
I,
rituals. I'm a big creature of habit.
right.
So I like, here's another one. If I can do it, if I can afford it, and I have the time, if I'm doing a show out of town, a big show for me, meaning big show, it's paying, good money. I'll go a day ahead on my own dime and
Yeah,
spend the night and get a good night's rest. And if I'm going to do that hour, there's a lot of times I can't do that, but if I can, I do that. And I also set up my own, it varies. A lot of the shows I set up my own PA, my own sound system. I do everything, but I make time to go around and say hello,
yes,
thank people for coming. Hey, we're going to have a great show. I think that's the minister portion of me that's still involved. And though there were a lot of ministers, though, that wouldn't talk to people until they preached,
right.
they would say, "Oh, the anointing of God's on me." And you can Google that if you don't know what that means. But the anointing of God's on me. I don't need to be disturbed. Let me preach, and then
It
I'm
means
available.
it's about to get real deep in here.
Yes, yeah. So I'm like, in comedy, people are more, what I've learned, people are more, they'll listen to you if you connect with them.
Right.
And every job I've ever had, it's been connecting with people, whether that was in insurance or ministry or home inspector or comedian, was I was good at connecting with people. So I'll connect in the beginning and they'll at least give me a chance.
Yeah.
They'll go, oh man, that guy, he came out here and said hello. Let me listen to him. So that's kind of a ritual, but that's just part of, I think, building a brand and
Right.
doing good business. Um,
Uh, I just want.
if you can give me one more, because
Oh yeah.
they're waiting on me. I didn't realize that.
Oh, okay. No. No. That's it. Are there any? I'd like to let it be about you at the end. So, are any causes
Oh,
that you'd like to talk about, or oh,
no,
your podcast? Are you still doing your podcast? I meant to. What's it called? I wrote
see
it
that
down.
look. Big Rich and Friends.
Big Rich and Friends. Who are the
Yes,
friends?
it is coming back. I did about 20 and I loved it. But, you do them. And it's the time, the money, I got busy with other stuff. And getting to do yours and a couple of others motivated me to get this thing rocking. So in the fall, that's the plan, to be back up doing what I do there and do a once a week, uh, 45 minutes to an hour, whatever it is. I encourage people not to go to my website till I get it fixed, but to go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I do a little bit on TikTok. I remember telling my boys, I was being a smart A to my boys. I'm like, hey, and all my boys are grown,
Yeah.
grown-ish, 19, 22, and 27. And when I sit them down to tell them I was doing comedy, they thought I was having a midlife crisis. They're like, oh my God, dad's divorced. He's doing comedy, former pastor. What are we getting into? And then I told my middle son, who's a big social media guy, I said, hey, guess what? Your dad's a TikToker now. And I call myself a TikToker. And he's like, oh God, what are you posting? I'm like, oh, just me talking about life, or something silly. But I do a lot on Facebook and Instagram and my shows. And if you're interested in booking, you can go to the website or reach out to me on social media. But GD, I want to thank you for having me. This was easy. I wish I had more time. Thank you for having me. I look forward to when I get mine up and running, I'll give you a shout out. And anything you need from me, man, anytime, brother.
I may reach out to you to find out about if there's a person at Dry Bar, a real person I can reach out to. I'd like to know, but we'll
Yeah,
talk later.
we'll touch base. Thanks a lot, and thanks everybody for listening. And I hope everybody has a great day.
Take care.